as a parent, you're not supposed to lose a child. It's not even in the Bible. That it doesn't even have a name. If you lose a husband, you become a widow. If you lose parents, you become an orphan. But what do you become when you lose a child? It's not supposed to happen. Parents not supposed to bury their children.
My name is Phume Sibisi-Khethang. I was born in a small township called Emondlo, which is in Vryheid, KZN. I was raised by my both grandparents because my mom and my dad were working far from home. So I was raised with cousins, the aunts were there, the uncles were there, and when we lived in Vryheid, which is Emondlo, we used to be looked after by my grandmom. Then at the age of 15, I moved to Durban, where my parents worked and they had a home. So I had to move and live with my parents. I am married to a pastor, Pastor Khethang. I've got, God bless me with 3 kids, but at the moment I've got only 2 boys. At the age of 10, around about the age of 10, I was initiated as a Sangoma. That was done by my uncle and ugogo mncane, which is my sister to my grandmom. I did not understand then because I was 10. I did not understand what was happening, but I believe, or from what they're telling me that I used to do strange things. I used to hear voices. I used to speak in other people's voices. So they then realized that I had a gift. Then they started to initiate me as a Sangoma, because in my mom's family, almost all of them, they've got the same gift of ubungoma. So one of my uncles is a full initiated Sangoma till today. He's still practicing. He still has people that are coming to him and ask for assistance to initiate them to become Sangomas. So that's what they are called, Amatswasan. Then I moved to Durban to live with my parents. And my parents, they didn't understand who am I now, or who I was when I came to them, because they were not there when I was initiated as Ubungoma. They did not even fight it, because I think that's the only thing that they knew too, to say, we only know that if the child has a gift, or if somebody has a gift, it has to be initiated so that the child can be free, or so that the person can be free. Because they believe that, they had a belief that if you are not initiated or accepting the calling, you will be troubled. Of which I was troubled when I was growing up, because I was a sick child. I was a very, very sick child. And that's when everything got concluded to say, it's the calling, it's the gift. Besides the vision that I was having, besides the voices that I was hearing, the sickness too made it for them to say, she is really, really having the gift or the calling. When you are being initiated as Sangoma, you have to go through to somebody's house, which you are not familiar with. And as far as I understand it, as far as I know it, if you really have the true calling, you don't just, your parents, they don't just pack your bags and take you to KwaSibisi, because KwaSibisi, they initiate people. No. Your spirit or your familiar voices, they will lead you, they will guide you to say which traditional healer or which initiator, I don't know if I'm using the right words, it's going to train you. Then when the person that is expecting you, apparently, or as I know, there are people too, they tell them to say, you must expect a girl that is going to come seeking help. Then they will welcome you in the house. When you are welcome in the house, then the nyanga or the traditional healer or the chief, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what they call it in English, they will take you, they will send a child to your parents to say, KwaSibisi, we do have your daughter in this house. So you must know that your daughter now is going to be trained as Sangoma. Then while you're in this house, you've got other initiating people or initiators or other people that are going to be trained to be a Sangoma. They're going to be in the same house. You're going to be, sometimes you find that there are 2 people, sometimes there's 10. It depends on how the other person, how powerful the trainer is. So you might have 3 people, you might have 2 people, you might be the only one that it's your first time coming in this house and you're the only twasa in this house. Then she will train you or he will train you. But the training goes by saying, as I was there, I'm the one that I must wake up and saying, okay, I have seen this and this and this and this. You are not being trained to say there is a book that she's going to open for you to say, here's a book, read it. No, but you must come, the people or whatever, the spirit that is inside you or the ancestors that are inside you, they're the one that they're going to come out and say, okay, I am a female in her body, or I am a male in her body, and my name is, or my name was. Then that's where the name comes from, the name that you are given. Because again, once you start the initiate, your name changes. You are no longer Phume anymore. You get given a name. So once that name is given to you, then in this household, that name will be used. So you've got that name. So in the morning, you will wake up at 4 o'clock. You have to beat the drums. You have to ugugida. You have to go and go palaza. You do all the ritual things that you have to do and wait for the people to come and seek help in that house. So you do that. It depends again how fast your ancestors come out. So some people, they say they take 3 months. I don't know. I did 6 months. So I did 6 months. Some people, they do 3 months. You do 6 months. I did 6 months, and once you have completed, but now the completion, it varies. I'm talking on isiZulu. Ndebele people, maybe they do it differently, but I'm talking on isiZulu. Then once that is done, then they will send a letter again to your people, or they'll send a child to your people to say, she has finished, this is a date that, then the people, your family must come in to arrange the date for you to go back home. While you're here again, Ugtwasa, it's got different things. People, they've got different callings or different gifts. There is umdao, there is prophecy, and there's lots of other things that they happen there. So again, with this whole thing, it's so much, it's broad, because I believe that you've got about 4 million ancestors in your body or in your life or something like that. So can you imagine if now I call Umkhulu Sibisi, who was maybe Inyanga, I must do a ceremony for him. I must acknowledge him. And then I get Umkhulu Shabalala, who was a priest. I must accept that too. So it's a process. It's a process. And slaughtering of goats, it's nothing. It happens almost on every weekend. And you must drink this blood of these animals. Slaughtering of chicken. So there's a lot that is happening. A bile, you must drink the bile. And again, I'm talking of what happened to me. So other people, it might differ. Some, they will have to go to water, and because that's where umdao is. Umdao is in the water. So you must go and fetch umdao in the sea, or not in the sea, but in the dam or running water, things like that. So it depends where you go. And again, some people, they are ill-treated. Unfortunately, I wasn't. So I wouldn't have the experience of how bad it was, because I was trained by my uncle and my ukoko mncane. So I wouldn't really know how bad it is for other people. For me, it wasn't bad, but I know that I had to go and fetch water from far from home. I had to go and find umuti. I had to go and do all those things. I did all those things, but not as severe as I hear other people that they were ill-treated. And I know that you have to sleep on the floor. All of you sleep on the floor. You leave your comfort of your own home. You bring just like a grass mat and the pillow. That's what you use to sleep in. So there is a school called Menzi High School, which is in Gwa H section, Mlazi. They've got a huge ground where they normally put the tent for abazalwane, born-again Christians. So they used to have a crusade there every year. So that year it happened that I was at home and I could hear the singing, the worshiping and everything. And I decided to go and see what was happening. I went to the crusade, and when I got to the crusade, I saw this guy was playing a piano. And I fell in love with the guy that was playing a piano, not understanding what was happening with me. The guy didn't know me. I did not know the guy. I just fell in love. Then I started worshiping with them. I didn't even know most of the songs because at home we come from the Lutheran church. So I didn't know the song of the born-again Christian, or as they call them, Happy Clappy. I did not know those songs. Then I started listening to the song. I started worshiping with them. And I remember the pastor saying, whoever that hasn't met Jesus Christ or does not know anything about Jesus Christ must come forward. Then I realized that he's calling a altar call. Then I was the first one to run to the front. While I was there, everybody was coming up. I think I was like almost the third person on the queue, and everybody was coming up, and everybody was full now at the pulpit. The pulpit was just packed with people that they wanted to accept Jesus Christ. That moment, I don't know what happened to me, but there was something, I wouldn't even say, I can't describe it. That thing that came to me, I'm still calling it thing because I did not know then what it was. It just came into me and I felt so comfortable. I found myself weeping. I found myself on the floor, thinking, how am I saying I love this person that I have never met? Why am I feeling so much love? Why am I feeling so much comforted? And why am I feeling something has gone off my shoulder? And I remember very well that day I still had my beads on my hands, because I never had beads on my legs, but I had them on my hands, on my wrist, and I had them on my neck. And the guy, which was the pastor, looked at me, he said to me, do you accept Jesus as your Lord and your Savior? I said, yes. He looked at me in a way of saying, do you understand what are you saying? And I was like, yes, I do understand what I'm saying. And I was with my friend. So she looked at me, she's been a born again forever. She's always been, I think since she was like 14, she's always been Jesus Christ all her life. So she looked at me and she was clapping. I could just see how excited she was for me to be there. And I went back home, I told my parents, and they looked at me to say, okay, what's in law? What has she gone and do? What Jesus Christ is talking about? Because yes, we do go to church at Lutheran church, but it's not the same. So I went home, I told my parents, I told them that never call me Sangoma. I'm not a Sangoma anymore. I'm not a gogo anymore. This is who I am now. I do have flashbacks, if I can call them flashbacks. I still have the visions. That's another thing, because it's a gift. Even though now I don't use it the way I used to use it. The gift is still there. The gift will never leave me. I still hear them telling me things to say, this is what is happening, this is what's happening, tell this person. Most of the people I don't even know. But then what I will do is, because now I've got another understanding, I know both worlds now, so what I do now, I just pray about it, especially for the person that I cannot relate the message to, because that's what I want to call it. I want to call it a message. And I don't see these things every 5 minutes, or I don't hear these things every 5 minutes, or wherever I'm walking around I can hear these things. No. When that, or now I'm saying it, when that angel comes to say, please tell my child this, I will tell. It depends on you as a person that I have given a message to say, what are you doing about it? I'm not going to tell you to go to a Sangoma. I'm not going to tell you to go to a Nyanga or to pray. It's you, because I've told you either about your past or about the future. So it's really, really up to you what you do as a person after I have told you what I have seen or what I've been told right now about you. while I was at church, everything was well, and I had my firstborn child out of the wedlock, who is 28 years old now. Then I had to baptize him. He was baptized. My father stood in as the father because his father was not present. So my father stood in as his father. He was baptized at the Lutheran church. Since then, I raised my child into that Christianity, that I have found Jesus, so he must go into my path, or he must follow me. Then I then got married. The first time the marriage didn't go well, we got divorced. 2009, it was in September the 15th, my second born son passed away. He was 14 years old. His name was Andile. Okay. Andile was my best friend. I know that as a parent, if you have kids, you can't say you love one the most. But Andile was a middle child, and he was my best friend. He was my everything. We will jog together. We will dance together. He was the child that when we have visitors at home, he'll be the first one to come and greet and ask the visitor what they would like to drink. When I come back from work, he will run me a bath. He will carry my laptop bag. He was that child. He was that proper child. That day when I came from work, Andile said to, in the morning when I left for work, Andile said to me, he's got a tummy ache. So I said to him, okay, don't go to school, and our helper will check how is it going. Because he was not in pain, but he just said he's just got tummy ache. So I was like, okay, don't go to school. He didn't go to school that day. It was on a Tuesday, I think. Then I said to him, okay, fine, I'll check up on you while I'm at work. I kept on phoning to find out how he's doing. The helper said, no, he's watching TV. He hasn't been outside, but he's watching TV. He's fine. I got home around about 4:45. And I said to him, I find him sleeping in his bedroom. I said, well, how are you doing? He said, no, his tummy is still sore. So I said, okay, come, let's go to the doctor. He got up, he went to the bathroom. He was busy brushing his teeth. He took off his pajamas. While he was taking off his pajamas, he was like, ouch. So I was like, what's wrong? Like, no, my tummy is sore. He put on his flip-flops. We walked. When we were walking down the passage to go downstairs to the garage, he collapsed. Right at the kitchen door, he collapsed. I called the helper. We carried him. We took him to the car. When we got to the car, I did not know that my child has passed on, or he passed on either in my arms while I was carrying him to the car, or he passed away in the house. Because when we got to the hospital, which is Helen Joseph, it's like 20 minutes away where we lived, he was declared dead. That hurt me so much. I think it's still hurting me today. Because as a parent, you're not supposed to lose a child. It's not even in the Bible. That it doesn't even have a name. If you lose a husband, you become a widow. If you lose parents, you become an orphan. But what do you become when you lose a child? It's not supposed to happen. Parents not supposed to bury their children. It was very difficult for me. It was a very difficult year. And it was in September.
December of that year, which is 2009, I was diagnosed with skin cancer. I could see my life flashing when I was told I have skin cancer. Especially when they asked me to sign those forms to say, chemo is very heavy, chemotherapy is very heavy, you might die, you might make it. I just buried my child 2 months prior. Now I am diagnosed with a deadly sickness. I started chemo 6 months down the line after that, which was in 2010. Just after I woke up, I started the chemotherapy. And in September of that year, my 28-year-old son, who is 28 now, he was 18 then, he was 17 actually then, in matric, he developed epilepsy. He was writing his September exams. I just thought to myself, what is happening to me? Why me? Whatever it is, if it's bad luck or... And obviously, because I was initiated as a Sangoma, I've got a gift. When I'm talking to my family, they're going to tell me it's because you have left your calling. You are not worshipping your ancestors anymore. That is why bad luck are following you. I was fine with that. If that's how ancestors work, then I don't want anything to do with them. Because you cannot say, when I'm not in agreement with you, you're going to kill my child. You're going to make me have a deadly sickness. You're going to now have a sickness of epilepsy to my son because I'm not in agreement with you. Then you are not a good spirit to me. Then I don't need you. Then you are confirming to me to say you are a bad spirit. I don't need you. So Sianda developed epilepsy. He wrote his matric and he got exemptions. All his subjects, all 6 exemptions, he got them. He passed. The following year, 2011, I think 2011, it was only the year in my life that I had a break. I had a break in 2011 when I met my current husband. It was in June 16, 2011. And about December of the same year, he already asked for hand in marriage, wrote a letter to my family that he wants to marry me. We got married the following year. But it hasn't been easy even going through all these things because all these things are happening in my life. And now I'm only left with my mom because my dad passed away in 2003. Now I'm only left with my mom. And in 2013, my mom had a stroke. We were supposed to have our white wedding, but we had our traditional wedding. My mom died. My mom didn't see me getting married to my husband because she passed away a week before my marriage, my wedding happened. She loved my husband. They were best friends, and they were sharing a bed stamp. They are both born in August. My husband being the 4th and my mom the 3rd. So they were very, very close. They were very, very close. I remember because I used to travel a lot with my work, my husband will look after my mom. He will take him to hospital for her blood test on a weekly basis. They were very, very close. But my mom couldn't walk me down the aisle. And we had to have a funeral this weekend and then got married the following weekend. It's been tough. It's been real. So now I am left with my husband and my two sons, Sianda and Thabo. But I do have another son that I adopted straight after Andile passed away, which is Mau. Mau is originally from Zimbabwe. He was friends with Sianda when we met him, and one day Sianda just came home and said, Mau's parents died in a car crash and he has no one in South Africa. He does not want to go back to Zimbabwe. And I was like, so what are you thinking we must do, Sianda? He said, please, let's take him in. I'm like, but I can't afford school fees. I'm a single parent at the moment. I can't take him in. How am I going to pay for his school fees? How am I going to feed him? Sianda said something that really, really shook me. He said, but Ma, Andile has passed on. So God is bringing you another son. Mau can take over Andile's school fees. He can take over Andile's room. And funny enough, also Mau was 14 when he came to my house, and Andile passed away when he was 14. And I looked at God. I said, God, you've got a great sense of humor, because you are bringing a boy that has lost parents. He does not have anyone back home in Zimbabwe, and you are bringing him to my family. Today, Maui is turning 29, or he turned 29 in Feb. And he has been living with us since then. He is my son. And I love him so much. Funny enough, I can't adopt him to be really my son, because in South Africa they've got too many laws that it doesn't make sense. He is my son. I've done everything for that boy, but I cannot just have a paper to say he is my son. That boy can't have a South African ID. He cannot have a decent job because of just a paper. He has no one in Zimbabwe. The last time he was in Zimbabwe, he was 10 years old or 13 years old. He knows no one in Zimbabwe. But South African law says he cannot be a South African when he's got a family here. That, it really, really, really hurt me. And I just don't know out there if there's someone who's willing to help us just for him to get a decent job. He's gone to school, he's got everything, but he cannot be foreigner now in a country where he's got a family. He is not a foreigner. He is my son. He's our family. He cannot be a foreigner. All I can say is, with all the trials and the tribulations that have been, my husband has stood by me. He has prayed with me. He has held on to me to say, do not worry, do not fear, God is with you. I have done all this not because nginemali, I'm smart, I'm educated. No, I've done it because God has been with me, has led the way. And the support structure that I get from the family and from friends, it's been the best. Whoever that is going through, whatever you are going through, do not lose hope. Never lose hope. God cannot give you what you cannot handle. He can, I know for a fact, if He did it with me, He can do it with you. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the last time. God is God. His words and His are yes and amen. His promises are yes and amen. If injongo yakhe akakayiqedi ngawe emhlabeni, nothing will happen and nothing must separate you from the love of God. He is God. He is faithful. His name is Jehovah. He is here in our lives. All we need to do is to accept Him and love Him. Hi, I am Phume Sibisi-Khethang. I have been through the most.